All right, we are back here at the Esports World Cup, and we have our third place match about to be underway. It's going to be Solar going up against Cure here to determine who takes bronze, who takes the extra $20,000 between these absolute titans of the game. They may not have made it to the grand final, they may not be in contention to become the world champion, but there's still a lot on the line for these two, not to mention the fact that they represent Team Liquid. They represent Falcons, two teams that are on the hunt for club championship points, and not only just challenging for small spots here and there, they're challenging usually for #1, as they were 1 and 2 last year. Joining me, Rotterdam as well as Loco, to talk about all of this. Rotti, it's a matchup here for these two that is very important, despite being that third place match.
No, of course. I mean, normally if you win a StarCraft tournament, you get a couple $1,000. Once in a while, you win 10,000. This is a single series for $20,000. So, of course, they're motivated. And the club reward, you said it, Falcons was the champ last year. Liquid was
$20,000 on the line. Welcome back here, everyone, to the EWC, the Esports World Cup 2025. We are here, we are back, we have returned with a third place match. Again, this is a rare sight. It's a rare sight. Typically, tournaments don't actually have a bronze match, but specifically this year for EWC, we have one. As you're mentioning, unfortunately, the players cannot advance further in the tournament, but there is still a lot of prize money on the line to determine who is third and who is fourth best in StarCraft 2 in the year of 2025. Oh boy.
Spicy. Let's see what he wants. Let's see what he's got.
What does he have for us?
Listen, I didn't know that the opinion was so controversial, but I don't care how long he's been chasing me for. It's been days, okay? But still, my opinion stands on its own. Protoss,
Oh no, Paolo, he's coming in.
perfectly balanced, as all things should be, all right? Oh, God. Wait. Habib, let me tell you something. Please.
No, let me tell you something, Habibi.
Okay.
What?
I agree with you. Protoss is not OP.
For ire, brother.
For ire.
All right, well, you know, okay. You know what? I'm glad they've made up for the Dr. Zulman Al Habib hot takes for the doctor's notes. I guess, you know.
Is that how the story ends between Paolo and Sandstorm? Oh, no.
Exact same hot take. Look, I see a lot of people complaining about late game Protoss versus Zerg, and then we actually see some PvZs featuring, for example, Serral. We're probably going to see some of that later. And Serral actually makes the late game look pretty easy. So even though maybe some people are complaining about Zerg versus Protoss late game, I think Protoss is totally fine.
How about yourself, Roddy?
True, just play like Serral. True.
Third place matches should be the norm for the biggest event of the year. You should be proud of finishing third, and obviously fourth is amazing as well, but a bronze medal means something extra.
Yes.
We haven't always done this in the history. Sometimes we did, then we went away for it for a long time, but I feel this should be the norm. So maybe that's a bit of a hot take, because a lot of people are like, oh, they lost, they're disappointed, you shouldn't have to play anymore, but I do really like it, and it also gives the players to still end their tournament on a bit of a high. You know, you're sad, of course, you lost in the semis, but if you win, and
you know what's my hot take? My hot take is have cameras on the casters. Caster cam? Unspeakable in EWC. Crazy. They don't have the budget. True. They don't have the budget.
Into a best of 9 against Serral right now.
Hot take.
That would be really tough. He gets, you know, a little bit of time, at least like an hour or so, to mentally prepare for it, which I think is actually really big.
And apparently, of course, he was able to eliminate a Falcons player, so he's going to get the VIP treatment for the day.
What does that even mean?
Gonna be all cool. All right.
What does that mean?
Let's take a look at the bracket here for the Esports World Cup for StarCraft 2 and see where we are at, because the road for these players has been tough to say the least. We've had some 3-0s here and there, but we've had some big 3-2s, all important 3-2s as well. In the grand finals, where it's Serral versus Classic, you do not want to miss that one. But equally as so, for our third place match, our players are going to etch themselves in history. One of them will take away third place here at the Esports World Cup. Will it be Cure or will it be Solar? And as previously mentioned, I will reiterate, important club championship points on the line for either Team Liquid or Falcons here as well, because I'm not going to mince words. Falcons so far, I feel like they believed they'd have more club championship points by this point already, but they've not had the best of times in some of the other titles. So now it's up for Solar here against Cure to try and bring some back.
Yes, I was like, he's doing it again. He's gonna ask me about different games. It's like,
No.
I've only played StarCraft for 15 years straight. Please don't do this to me. But yes, I'm sure they have a lot of great
Third place
rosters.
match. Yeah, I think I agree with Roddy. I think I agree that I think it's good to bring back the third place match. I think it's good to make it more normalized for the World Championship, just because it is the World Championship. It is like the tournament of the year. So I can get behind that.
Between Solar and Cure, and also perhaps in a way, no matter how big the match is, they can play a little bit more freely. Like, they still be stressed, but I think it's less stress than in the semifinals. So perhaps we can get all-out bangers.
Well, I'll ask you get your thoughts in a moment here, Loco. But, you know, even if you have been eliminated here in this tournament for the Esports World Cup, you don't have to feel too sad.
See the frustration in his eyes, because he probably thought multiple times he was going to win here. Lambo going to have to try to mentally recover. He does have a little bit. You know.
Have you ever wondered where the players go when they get eliminated? Back to the hotel? The player lounge? Or maybe straight to the airport?
Some of them do go straight to the
Truth be
airport.
told, even when our players lose, they still win in a certain way.
You have doggos at EWC? Why have we not been showing them off?
Because everyone deserves love and appreciation. Here at the EWC, it's all about treating our players the right way.
Alice.
Where's that?
Yeah, what?
I want to be there.
Why have we been following Paolo and Sandstorm running around for the past couple of days? Why isn't the B-roll just a cam of the dog area? What's happening?
I know exactly
What's
where I'm
going
right
on?
after the final.
Feedback form. Let's get
Cure
Get onto the
going up
feedback
against
form.
Solar.
We need more
talk to me about
doggos.
this matchup. Talk to me about you think with the prospects
Give us
here
more
for this best of
doggos.
seven.
Yeah, I can really only echo what Roddy already said. I mean, this is such a difficult match to predict. How do you even really call an advantage for either of them? It's been incredibly close historically, and in my mind, like I think all of us have like a picture of every player in our minds. In my mind,
us
this
all
is a
the
super
doggos.
close match in general. Like both of them can certainly beat each other on basically any day, and a best of 7 between
No
the
Last
two.
Fantasy?
I'm kind of
Let's
leaning
go.
towards Cure a little bit, mostly just because across the board he's been very impressive this tournament, but Solar obviously also has been looking like a monster.
Talk to me, Roddy.
Yeah, well, a little while ago, I wasn't that fond of Cure his TvZ. I felt that was the one matchup that really held him back from just winning a few more tournaments. Because his TVT, we've seen it. I mean, the man eliminated Maru. TVP for a while. People considered him to be the best player in the world because his TvZ was not that impressive.
Yeah.
But this tournament, I've been loving it. He got a 3-0 victory over Rogue, and that wasn't even close. And yes, he lost 0-4 against Cerro, but you can't say those were boring one-sided matches. There were quite a few moments where they were both low on workers. Cerro had no more money in the bank. And on top of that, I feel that Cure can experiment maybe a little bit more with the Cyclone. I think it's mega close, but I think I agree with Loco. Like a minor advantage for Cure, perhaps.
Okay, fair. I mean, Solar can be tricksy. Solar for a good while did have extreme confidence in this matchup, Loco. Maybe some of that time has passed on a little bit since then when we was talking about it, because he would always go into interviews saying like, yeah, I think I can take Maro in this matchup. I think I could even hang toe-to-toe with Clem in this matchup. But going up against Cure here, maybe those days are gone, and who knows?
Yeah, I know that Solar in general has been quite vocal about not enjoying the Cyclone builds all too much.
True.
I feel like ever since he has been vocal about it, everybody's been playing Cyclones against him.
Weird,
I don't know if they're just,
yeah.
you know, rubbing it in a little bit, but yeah, there's no denying that in general he's really good in this matchup, but I am going to give the slight edge to Cure overall.
Okay. How about yourself, Roddy? I mean, obviously you've talked about, you know, giving...
In general, I also give the edge to Cure. I do think that Cure's TvZ is his weakest matchup, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
it's a real shame for Solar that he
Like
couldn't
his
quite
TvZ is actually
showcase his
really,
skill
really
that
strong
he
and really
was
on
in the
point.
previous
I know that
semifinals.
Solar did impress me during GSL. For those of you that don't remember, Solar, he was one of the reasons why Maru was knocked out early in GSL Season 2. Solar had some really strong builds and really hard counters against 8-Raxes, but as we saw from Cure in his series against Cyril, doesn't have to just 8-Rax. He did 8-Rax twice in that series. series. True. 2 games did go for the AVAX. 1 game went mech, and the other game did play standard, more standard than previously. So he's shown us quite a wide array of builds, and I still lean towards Kira. But best of luck to Solo. I hope for a series. Hope there's not one-sided. It's my hope, at least, because so far the semis have been, at least score-wise, one-sided.
2-3 different squads of units, because then he can perhaps find enough openings to pick Kira apart.
Yeah, and again, if the dreaded Cyclones come out here, I guess it's like try and keep their numbers.
We haven't seen Kira go battle mech. We've seen him go for a more traditional form of mech, but we haven't seen battle mech yet at a Kira, at least not at EWC.
Tried to play Cyclones, but in the series against Serral, he really didn't, right? And he did give Serral at least a lot of time to macro and to just sort of build up his bases. If he gives Solar similar opportunities, I think Solar really does have a shot, because he's really strong when it comes to the multitasking, and I think in general his late game is good as well, so yeah, we'll see.
All right, well, thank you very much, Roddy. Thank you very much, Loco. It's time to head into our 3rd place match now here on the stage. These 2 players know what it means for their clubs, what it means for their wallets here, what it means for 3rd place.
Where were the doggos?
Here at the S&B Esports Arena, we're heading into the decider match. $20,000 on the line between 3rd and 4th means there's 20,000 reasons for these 2 to pick themselves up and charge back into battle.
Rivals last year in the club championship, and the story continues this year here at the Saudi National Bank Esports Arena. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Team Liquid take on Team Falcons. It's Cure versus Solar. Solar power may have been eclipsed in the last series, but you can always count on the sun to rise again.
And for Cure, hot off a semifinal versus Serral, Cure has a Zerg punching bag lined up to take his frustrations out on, but this one hits back and hard. Everything is in its place now for this placement match, so let's roll out. Casters?
Take it away.
All right, it's going to be another best of 7 before heading into those grand finals, this time between Cure and Solar. Their TvZ remarkably close to each other. They've played tons of games over their storied careers over in Korea, and they remain dead set at 50% in both matches and series. You don't get any closer than that.
I am so excited to be casting this series with you, Zombie Grub. $20,000 and, of course, 200 club points.
For a moment, I was like,
and
who is that? State.
Okay. Place. That is a badge of honor.
You know what that means? Like so the way they split up here, it's going to be Zombie Grub and State for 3rd place match. It sounds like it's going to be Tastosis for the finals.
Between Solar and Cure is going to be taking that 3rd place spot.
Yeah, Cure played some fantastic Terran versus Zerg, but Solar ditto on the opposite side, right? He was the one that actually made Clem bleed this tournament in that matchup. Couldn't quite push him over the limit, but they're both at peak levels for Terran versus Zerg. Here is going to be a very different opponent for Solar, who is good against the Clem's multitasking style. Fantastic, actually. Cure, not as much on that. Usually more of like those big pushes. Yes, he can multitask. We absolutely saw that versus Serral. Ditto again on the opposite side. Cure's opponent, Solar, different than how he's going to have to play. He did play versus Serral. So really cool to have 2 TvZs happen here, and we get to see basically all the angles of the matchup.
Yeah, Solar has said heading into AWC that he feels very confident in his ZVT. He said he thinks he can take down Clem, he thinks he can take down Maru. Well, Cure, among those players, is just so good at TvZ. Just as you said, he might not have quite the multitasking skill.
So I don't think it was Tastosis for last year's finals. I don't think, if I'm not mistaken. I think Zombigo was in the finals, right?
He is so calm, collected, and controlled. He runs a clinic on how to play TvZ at a high level. It has been a pleasure to watch him really debut that at GSL this year. I feel like he's been revitalized in the TvZ matchup. I think this is going to be a really close series, as here we are loading in on Ultra Love for map number 1. Spawning in the top right, the Red Zerg representing Team Falcons. It is Solar.
And in the bottom left, as the blue Terran representing Team Liquid, he is once again Cure.
And you
So
know what time it
excited
is?
to head into this one. You're a big fan of 8-Racks.
You know what time it is? It is
a
Gamma time. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will claim the series. Best of luck in the chat.
Times previously, very many TvZs actually have this be an 8-Racks. It can be very powerful. Cyril made it look like it
I
was
double checked in
nothing,
Tasos, they did cover the finals last year. They did do it.
That's
So I misremembered. They did do it last year.
Including Solar is going to be absolutely terrified of Cure playing a super strong macro game. And again, like it's so fun to think about how opposite the match here is to these two's previous TvZs, where you talk about Solar versus Clem, and you're like, well, who's going to be faster? Who's going to multitask? You know, in Cyril versus Cure, it was, okay, well, who's going to have the better macro, get to that point in the most efficient way to really start dealing blows to each other. And now I actually feel like what we're going to have is Solar being the multitasker, being the aggressor, running around every which way, things that he's perfected in his many matches versus Clem. And Cure is going to be the one that we're like, oh, if he gets to macro and get to his 8-Racks, fast engineering base, and push on a map like this with no interference, then he's going to be the scariest player.
Yeah, you broke that.
So I do think that it's really good that they bring this up, especially on Ultra Love. Again, Ultra Love, we speak about this all the time. This is the 8-Racks map, right? 8-Racks is a really strong hero on Ultra Love. It's going to be on Solar to slow him down, to build up. We saw Cyril have the perfect game against Cure on Ultra Love, where he completely shut down the 8-Racks. We'll see if Solar can replicate
They're
that.
actually not really that worried, or not afraid, I should say, of going into the mid game, going into the late game a little bit behind of their opponents, because they have so much confidence in that late game. For Solar, it's kind of the opposite. He wants to bring the fight to you early. You saw that versus Hero. You saw that versus Classic is actually Cure. Usually we don't commentary the first Reaper because usually not a lot gets done, but some fancy micro able to take down one drone. Going back to my previous point, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Cure, he is a little bit more conservative. He likes to focus and kind of narrow the game into specific moments, right? Like a big 8-Racks push, a mech train just kind of moving all the way across the map with siege tanks lined up from the center of Ultra Love into a third base, something like this, whereas Solar, yeah, he's going to be trying to pull Cure apart.
Yeah, even with the Liberator style of play that he was showing, right? It was kind of this interesting mix of something that we consider very multitasking heavy, splitting heavy, which is the mass bio play, but Liberators they're literally siege units. And he was able to kind of mix it so that, yes, it was about the 1-2 on opposite sides of the map, but it was also about getting that slow push of the Liberators with siege. So just really fascinating stuff coming out from the styles, the multiple styles that we can see in TvZ. And yes, of course, we will have to talk about BattleMech eventually, but I'm just not thinking about this map right now. I absolutely think that Cure's going to try and get away with an 8-Racks once again. Solar is going to keep a keen eye out for that one. He's going to see that it is a factory third CC with a starport, presumably. You didn't quite see that it was a starport. Technically, that could be a barracks.
Again, I do like that they do keep bringing it back to the 8-Racks, just to keep in everyone's minds, assuming that's what's going to happen.
And then how fast those engineering bay is going to come down.
Yeah, it's just a nice, safe opening here with that Banshee, kind of fulfilling the same role that, say, an Oracle would in a PvZ, where it makes it kind of tough for Zerg to get a lot done early game, because unless you come with Queen's Cross map, you know, Roaches and Lings, those guys don't shoot up. Ravagers, you're pretty lucky to get a bile on that Banshee, and in fact, will be Cloak coming in here for Cure. And yeah, I was speaking actually with Rainer a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about the frustration of playing versus Cure, especially on a map like Ultra Love, because you know the 8-Racks is coming, and even then, it is so difficult to stop. I think that we're probably going to be seeing quite a wide range of builds from Cure over the course of this best of 7. We will be seeing 8-Racks play. We will be seeing BattleMech. And I was going to say that I am fully expecting him to send the 8-Racks again in Ultra Love, as he has repeatedly over the past couple of weeks. But look at Cure kind of flipping the script right now, man. He wants to go into double factory.
As you said, even with you acknowledging the 8-Racks is on the way and getting all the world in the time to prepare, most Zergs are still very afraid of it. But Cure, he wants to really change things up. It is obviously the precedent that has been set in his TvZ and a lot of TvZs. And now Solar might be very much
double armory as well.
Jesus. That not only is it not going to be bio, it is once again not going to be BattleMech. It is double armory. We got ourselves that standard vintage mech that's going to be.
I was going to say that this is the same build that he went for against Serral on Pylon.
Didn't really work out as we headed into that tier 3, and the Broodlords then kind of swapped that script. But I am curious to see how Kier plays this one. Is he going to actually go for the attack once he's maxed out on tanks again on Ultra Love, or does he even change it up further and go for some turtling? Banshees have been trying to find damage here and there. Solar, as of yet, does not know exactly what his opponent is doing.
So a couple things to bear in mind here is to compare this to that series versus Serral. If you remember, one of the strengths of going for this more slow traditional mech style on Pylon against Serral was how small the map was, which is why we had assumed that we were going to be seeing an 8-Rax on Pylon, and why we also assumed that we would be seeing an 8-Rax here on Ultra Love as well. So the same strength is also applicable here, where the rush distance by ground is actually quite short on this map. So really the goal should be for Kier to build up, get into 1-1, 2-2 upgrades, max out on mass tank, and then push with one maxed out army. It's going to be on Solar to try to stop him.
And Kier really try to play that exhaust style of TvZ.
You know what's also interesting is that I did note that Solar banned out Pylon in the map vetoes.
True.
So I feel like he was actually very scared of that style of play when he saw it in Serral. And even though this isn't going to be abused the same way as Pylon was, I feel like maybe Solar was really just hoping not to have to deal with that in general. And again, it's going to be a bit of a surprise, more so because it's a typical 8-Rax. But this might be very frustrating for Solar to see, thinking, oh, I got rid of the map that would have this, and oh my god, there's like 50 tanks on my doorstep, which, you know, Solar, when's the last time they actually got a scout? We're on like a high tank count now. It's very obviously not, at this point, it's obviously not going to be bio because we haven't had any drops, but he doesn't, and I guess it's not battle mech because we haven't had any pressure too, but Solar, I mean, just is comfortable, just macroing up, not going to try and find any damage or any, you know, attempt to block out the.
What they're getting at, Solar hasn't scattered. He hasn't scattered, he doesn't know for certain, which is why there's no Roach one, and he needs Roaches.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to say exactly what the answer is going to be here from Solar. He is
stuck on Ling
continuing to tech up, as you mentioned, as that extra hatchery does get canceled.
He sees all the Hellions.
Left, and I think that you
That's a
probably
tell.
fully expect
There it
this
is,
is going
Hydras.
to be mech. And as you said, there is no pressure, so it's not going to be battle mech. But you know, in a situation like this one, as Solar, what is really going to be the approach? Because Kier really isn't vying for map control at all.
We have the answer.
I actually think he didn't realize it was mech until that moment.
Yeah, he
Really
did.
shot because he changed Carapace to +1 missile.
Ah,
like,
Right.
like
But as we mentioned, the scout wasn't there until this moment.
To say, but we'll find out later. Hellions are trying to get surrounded right now. Banelings are on their tail, and they will make those connections.
Nice around.
That is a lot of Hellions to lose without really taking much in return, other than the sacrificial Banelings themselves. But yeah, Solar, he's still getting to high technology. You can still play this out with Ling, Hydra, and maybe the Banelings help out clear out the Hellbats as well. But you do want to get something like Lurkers as well to help you. Kier's push going to be coming, I would say, actually kind of shortly. 2-2 already on the way with those fast double armory builds as well. I think Kier is going to do the push style that we saw versus Serral rather than trying to really super turtle, and that is always going to be tough to deal with.
especially with the fast 2-2 coming in here, as Banshee is going to catch yet another drone trying to take an expansion, and Solar looking and prodding over here at the fourth base. If you're able to snipe at least one siege tank, can he get the second one there with a bit of assist from those tanks on the ground? And actually, Hellbats here in the very top left. Kier, I was talking about how he doesn't have that much map presence because it was really just that one rogue band of Hellions, but he is really trying to get a lot done with Hellions, with the Hellbats right now. Denying expansions with the Banshees, these Hellbats delaying the mining of a Solar who is on 89 drones and would love to saturate this top left base. And where are these queens going, Zombie Crumb?
On an adventure. They're going on an adventure. Now, they meant to go ahead and spread their creep. So they're going to get back to that. We do have Magfield Accelerator on the way for Kier. I wonder if he's going to actually use this as an opportunity to push with the mech, the tank mech that is, and then actually add on battle mech.
What's important here is that Kier, he actually doesn't really know what tech Solar's working with either. He has seen no roaches yet, but for all he knows, it could be a Spire on the way. I don't know if he has scanned the main base yet.
Like the Nidus Storm especially, I think is important to make sure you have some type
he doesn't
of
get his max.
jab
True,
he's
just maxed out.
Home against the mech push, which is on its way.
Yeah, Kier now moving into the middle of the map as 2-2 upgrades
this
here
is
for
time.
these
This is
mech units,
moment.
getting closer and
2-2's
closer
finishing
to
up.
completion. Some Hellions back at home.
Blue Flame.
Ready to deal with those Zerglings, as a few siege tanks will get caught, but again, with these upgrades, not much more than some damage going on to those. As Solar now testing the limits here in the center of the map, and Kier, he's starting to develop that siege line.
Vipers are ready. That's what the Vikings are for.
Scary push. Once again, getting past the bridges, kind of the first choke point that you want to get pushed past. And then as you approach this one, where, you know, Solar did knock down the rocks, I believe it was them anyway, it's less of a choke point, but it still is a choke point. Breaking through that's very, very difficult. Another Ling run by, going to try and find Hellbats not prepared. Little misclick maybe on the transformation back to Hellion. We do need more Hellions actually, but all the while we have Solar deciding to go in, clear out the front line with a couple of blinding clouds. Banelings do take out much of the Hellbats. Only tanks left over, but if there's no Lings right here, right now to take advantage of that, Pure is going to keep his position.
Yeah, Kira is losing a lot of SCVs back at home to these Zerglings. 18, in fact, in total going down right now. But you know, in a situation like this one, where you're going for this tank-style push in the center of the map, I wouldn't even mind. Of course, he is rebuilding those SCVs, but I wouldn't mind him just fully investing back in the
That's 19 SCV kills to the Ling run by. Nicely done here by Solar.
Yes, with those blinding clouds, he was able to get some damage in against the siege tank line, and he comes in yet again from the west side right now, trying to find an angle of attack that's going to get a little bit more damage done. But I think only one siege tank falling, and actually, that's just Izzy. GG is called here in game number 1. A bit of a rug pull moment right there, as I guess Solar, maybe, as you mentioned, a little bit of a misread there in the initial stages of the game, excuse me, not catching that it was going to be mech.
Yeah.
He had to cancel the upgrades. He had to switch the tech a little bit. I think we had, what, 1 Viper, maybe 2 in total in the initial engagement. And when you're low on energy like that, you really need the abducts, the blinding clouds to break through a siege line like that one. Unfortunately for Solar, game 1 going in the favor of Cure.
It is such an oddity to think that he didn't scout the mech, and it's not, you know, we're getting,
winding it back here, as we mentioned, and as they caught on to, again, there was no scout of the mech until all the Hellions had been revealed across the map, so it was a late scout as to what was going on, and unfortunately, because of that, there was no Roach production. There was no Roach setup. Without Roaches, without Ravagers, it's so difficult to slow down that kind of army, and here you could see what Cure wanted to do against Serral on Pylon, where he wanted to max out and then push and bully his way forward towards the bases. Here, again, we spoke about the strength, or the reason why that would work a little bit better on Pylon. Same here on Ultralove. Both maps are really short by ground, so short rush distances means that it takes even less time for the tanks to get into those bases. So really assertive play there by Cure, and again, just a really shaky setup there from Solar. Really shaky.
And either way, I think the mech that was actually being shown did throw him off. Hellions were causing more troubles than they should because you don't have those dependable Roaches to take care of it. And yeah, it might look like the foundation is set to a degree because he's on the drones, he's on the bases, he's on some good technology. But like the mental preparation for handling those different styles of play is very, very different. Perhaps that is a reason that Solar ended up losing that game. Maybe he can get back on the scouting this time around, not make that same mistake. We are into game 2 on Tokamak, and in the bottom left, losing game number 1 of this best of 7, he is Solar.
And spawning in the top right, bringing out the big mech play in game number 1. Will he go back into that here in game number 2? It is Team Liquid's Cure.
You know, sometimes I do bring this up, but I'm always so hesitant to because I think, well, I'll say it first. I do feel sometimes that Solar isn't the best scouter in StarCraft 2. And that the reason I'm hesitant to ever say that is because, like, well, he obviously made it here. He's fantastic. He absolutely has to have great scouting to do that. But when you compare him to, and this is a difficult comparison, but to Serral, it feels like Serral always gets like the right scout at the right time with the perfect information, doesn't get tricked by anything in any matchup as well. But Solar, sometimes he does have this one game in a series where it's like, I just don't, you know, he maybe could have sent an Overseer in and seen something, right? And hopefully that is the only game in which maybe Solar didn't have the time to set up mentally for what he was truly against.
So
yeah, it's kind of a tough position there.
This is the one time where I'm going to push back against this because basically ZombieGub is insinuating that Solar, he has worse scouting than Serral and because that he had a late realization of what was happening. If you weren't watching previously, if you weren't here for the previous series, Serral versus Cure on Pylon, Serral also had a late scout. And if you remember, he even confirmed that in the interview. We mentioned it during the game at the time that Serral, he did not get into the main base, he did not scout the factories, and likewise, he didn't see the extra tanks, he didn't see the extra Hellions, and it was a late realization that's what was happening. That's why that game was so close. And in the interview afterwards, Serral even confirmed, he's like, yeah, I was really scared on Pylon because he had a late scout and because it didn't realize it was mech until it was far later. So he was actually in a really rough position. So I think this comparing Solar's lack of scouting to Serral also had lack of scouting as well. So I don't think the comparison is there. Saying that one is better than the other, they both failed to scout the mech in their respective games. It was just that Serral opened roaches to begin with. No, sorry, he didn't open roaches. He did react with a roach warren once he realized. Here, Solar reacted with a Hydra Den, not with roaches.
It's not an overlord always going in. The Lings at the front can oftentimes get the scout that you need, but it was deception from Cure. So really just, I mean, Cure's game plans going into these best ofs are absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he is very good at these long extended series. GSL veteran going back many, many years. So many runs going deep into those tournaments. You get your reps in. Best of 5s, best of 7s, and I'm sure it's going to be the same thing from Solar. We've already seen him deliver some real haymaker blows in just a variety of matchups with the aggression so far in these series, leading up into this best of 7 here for the 3rd place match. And I feel like often, going back to your point from Solar scouting, it's usually his aggression that gives him a lot of information, whereas, you know, a player like Serral, of course, he is capable of being aggressive, but he specifically will look for timings with an Overlord, with an Overseer, as you mentioned, whereas, yeah, with Solar, it's usually the attacks that feed him information, or he's
and now the cast is going down this like line of like commentary, but it's baseless. Like it's not applicable to the games we've been seeing.
Well, that's
Smudge.
Okay, that was a mistake, you know, just to let that in. It is seeing a very basic opener as far as like, well, this could be every game for a lot of Terrans.
Safety Roach run out of Solar, so it does go for a Roach follow-up.
But that doesn't guarantee that it's true.
And we have Bio out of Cure.
They could be adding factories, you know, swapping that barracks off. In this case, it was, but Solar would definitely want a second scout just to confirm that. And it is going into Bio.
Additional barracks now coming in here for Cure. And as for Solar, just developing very normally. He's adding in more drones. All the Spore Crawlers now coming online to deal with the Banshee tech that he scouted just a moment ago. And actually, man, he has been really on point with the scouting so far in this game. I think you heard your cast. He's like, let's just prove ZG wrong here in game number 2. Just relentless with the Lings. First one, a little bit lucky getting into the main base, and the second one also confirming the barracks. So, yeah, going to be no curveballs coming Solar's way in the early game here in game number 2. And I like that, because when Solar is playing at his best with information like the one that he's gathered in this game, it's usually a really back and forth one. And right now, look at this CG taking additional Vespene Geysers. And what is this, like a 520 infestation pit?
Yeah, very, very fast. Popular build right now for some Zerg players when they go into macro. And this is what Solar did a lot versus Clem. As well, so that is like a 4-minute Roach Warren, fast infestation pit. Some drones are going down, but most of them were pulled actually, so this isn't too bad. Nice attempt at a body block actually.
He gets into natural.
This is now a very dangerous moment. 3 Hellions, 1 shot on the drones. The drones don't know what to do. Do they block it? Do they surround it? Do the Queens come fast enough? 9 drones go down, and you can see that Solar was unhappy about that. Banshees in the main base looking right towards the Queen. I think they took out a drone before they did that. Yeah, that was not the defense that Solar was hoping for.
No, and the damage really piling up. Those Banshees coming into the main base. 12 drones in total going down. And Cure at 6 minutes is taking a worker lead. The Hive tech starts here for Solar, and I'm getting flashbacks to Shin deploying this build in DreamHack Dallas with the fast infestation pit, the fast Hive. Usually, it's going to be roaches in the mid game to carry you through, and then a fast Ultralisk Cavern, but that's a pretty low drone style. I feel like we're usually somewhere in like the mid or low 70s when we do that style, at least from Shin in the games that I've seen. And losing 12 drones in a moment like that, it's kind of painful, because you kind of want to be out of the droning stage of the game. You want to start investing all your money into roaches to stabilize you. They're the big stabilizing force in the mid game, and then play off of that to invest all this tech into the Ultralisk, the Hive, the additional upgrades coming in to really bring those Ultras online. In this case, Solar losing a lot of momentum in the mid game from what seemed to be a small moment. 12 plus workers going down. It's very painful.
What's brutal about this position here?
The domino effect of having to build those 14 extra drones as opposed to just being like, well, now back in the army, right? I'm going to be perfectly prepared for any push that he has on the way. Very small mistake from Cure as he does push in here. He does only have 1 attack as opposed to the armor. I think he just, you know, queued the engineering base, didn't quite work out. The attack is still very scary without that second upgrade. Solar was absolutely 0 upgrades, and he is supply blocked, and suddenly the hatchery is in trouble. Transfuses do come down, but the Roaches getting obliterated by the tank. More Lings are necessary. They are now spilling forward to help out, and this will be cleaned up, but that is not all. That was the appetizer, guys. Cure has a lot more army on the way, building a 4th command center behind this and finding even more damage with these Banshees.
So a really strong way to deal with this style that Solar's going for is to be hyper aggressive with these timing attacks. If you've been watching Byan as of late, Clem as well, you can punish a player rushing into Hive, which Solar's trying to do by going for these timing attacks, by applying that pressure and not backing off. We saw that Stay was making reference to Shin versus Clem. I don't know if he wasn't watching the previous days, but there's a reason why Zomaga brought up Clem versus Solar, because Solar did the same style against Clem, and he was able to make use of it to great effect here. But it's been a shaky start for Solar.
Yeah, and the creep spread still has not been replaced over there, which Cure is still going to be looking at. Scan to clear up even more, creeps it off to the right, using these Banshees very well. They're also tracking the other possible run-by point, while his main army is obviously tracking the first one. Ultralisk Cavern is on the way. Baneling speed only halfway done. That does scare me a little with Cure trying to get the army on the left side. I mean, he's being quite patient about this. He's not showing it. This is giving Solar some time to replace the creep spread, but gosh, when Cure does push, and here we actually go, 2-2 about halfway done, once again, Solar is going to have some trouble.
Yeah, a lot of resources invested on getting those Ultras. The first 2 Vipers should have enough energy to come in right now. You can see them posturing, trying to find an angle for a Blinding Cloud or maybe a Keen Abduct, even a counterattack over here in the third. But so far, Cure with the positioning right here as an answer for everything. As Solar coming in from 2 angles, these Queens actually a little bit on move command right there. They do get caught out. The initial volley from Solar is good, but man, Cure, he's getting so much value with those links. Okay, the Blinding Clouds, though, they are so clutch. That is going to force Cure back. It was a scary moment there for Solar, but the jabs, they're not stopping ZG.
No, it's going to be 1-2 Haymaker, it feels like very soon. Solar just trying to keep his head above water, trying to get this 5th base up, which is being denied by Cure's secondary army, the same one that denied his own run-by attempt. But Cure, I think, might be feeling, well, he's already getting Marauders. I wonder if he's going to add on those Liberators. We still haven't seen the decision for the late game. But this is around the time that those Ultras would show up with the build that Solar is doing. They do not have Chitinous
he gets a Queens,
though. And Solar, perhaps misletting his army for a hot second. Cure is able to take advantage, jumps on top of this army with a 2-1 upgrade lead. Ultras are here, but again, no plating, but it is going to be enough on that left side. Right side, very stimmed bio. No Medivacs close to try and save them, but looks like they might just be able to escape.
Yeah, those Banshees doing work a few minutes ago. Clearing the creep is going to allow these units to actually get out of here, mostly unscathed, although Solar, he's hot in pursuit right now. 2 Medivacs are going to be joining in, so this bio could lift up and retreat, but instead Solar getting some good damage done.
There's more army coming on the right side. The Medivac's trying to pick up and get out of here. They know that once they actually come together, the entire Bara army comes together, it's going to be 2-2 versus 1-1, and Chitinous plating wasn't done. That could have been a mistake in another universe where Cure had a bit more collection of his units. Instead, Solar chooses the appropriate moment. He pushed the army back, gives himself some breathing room. He'll finish up the Carapace upgrade, he'll finish up plating, and he's going to try once again to get a 5th base up and running.
And for Solar, it's been a really scary past couple of minutes, but
so this is where this build that Solar's going for can actually really work beautifully against Cure, because if you remember, if you were here for Cure versus Serral, Cure, he didn't make a single ghost despite the lurkers and despite the ultra tech. Here, ultras are amassing, and once again, there's no academy. We're going into mass liberator. Once again, it looks like Cure is avoiding ghost production.
This is a position that you could absolutely play with. He has stabilized here in the mid game. You can see him mousing over there in the top right for a moment, just checking the drone count, being like, okay, you know what, my economy, it's in about the right place that I want it to be. Let's try and get in control of this game.
Yep. Once start building a bank, which is going to be a bit troublesome. Cure is once again on the offense. These Banshees have just been a nuisance and a half. Vipers coming in with some blinding clouds. Fungals also being looked for. They are going to grab a good portion of the Marines. Parasitic Bomb also affecting these Medivacs.
Fusion
Cure
Core, another
is going to be
Starport.
forced to disengage. Couple of weak ultras he wants to get before he's fully forced back to his base. Reinforcements covering a Ling run by to a certain extent, but Cure now on the ropes needs that planetary to hold.
Yeah, the Marauder count right now for Cure on the front lines, very thin. You can see now he finally has 5 tech labs on those barracks, so he's able to pump them out 5 at a time. And the first Liberator's also coming in. Of course, the Ravagers on the field are going to complicate matters a little bit. And it might look very good for Cure if you just purely glance at the army supply, but we have so many medevacs right now. It's 11 medevacs, 2 Banshees, 2 Liberators, so much in the air, and really not all that much on the ground, although when the forces converge, this should be a better angle of attack for Cure.
Yeah, he still wants to go for it. It's going to be off creep yet again. Widowmine's getting some attacks. Those fungals looking awfully scary, but one less to worry about. The second one couldn't quite grab it. Liberator now taking control of the choke as well. Solar rethinking if he wants to take this engagement, is deciding to go for it.
God, the mine
coming
shots.
in. Let's see how effective they are. Parasitic bombs once again, but
nice
the
one, Cave.
spread of Marauders when it is down to just those Ultras is too good. The fungals are necessary. Link surrounds are necessary. There's a fungal right there. The Ultras get nice, close, and comfortable, but there's still a lot of bio that is looking to kill the remnants of this Zerg army.
The standing army here for Cure is just continuing to micro back and forth. These Widow Mines getting so much value on the Lings. One of the last Ultras is going to fall. Finally, the Ultras are clear.
Cure, has he broken through? He's breaking.
He's charging forward right now with 3-3 bio. The Hydras no longer do they have a tanky front line to support them. Instead, the glass cannons getting quickly dispatched as Cure sets his eyes on another expansion.
I think he's going to grab it. There's not much left over for Solar. He chose the moments, and unfortunately, it wasn't quite it. Now down 50 supply, losing his Infestors, losing his Vipers, and losing this game. Cure with a super strong performance, a 2-0 start to this best of 7.
Yeah, that was just fantastic bio play there from Cure. For me, the key moment looking back, when those Hellions paired with the Banshees in the main base were able to get a dozen plus drone kills. Solar playing such a high-tech style, going for the super fast infestation pit, the fast hive.
So we didn't get to talk about it at the time because they were kind of like discussing the build itself. But the brutal start at the beginning of the game wasn't necessarily, it was a combination of two things. It was the Hellion dive that they're referring to, which did do a lot of economic damage, but it was also the fact that Solar, he had opened up Roach, and when you open Roaches like that, it's a very safe way to play, very safe way to open up. It's meant to keep you alive, it's meant to minimize losses, but his Roach production was delayed, and he had nothing to defend. He failed to wall off, he had no Roaches ready in time, so despite the, I would say, safe build and the safe opener out of Solar, he failed to defend early on, so that set him even further behind. So a really strong start out of Cure, then he just maintained the momentum, knocked down base after base. I would say that Solar, it looked like he was stabilizing when he got into his Ultras, and he was stabilizing, but still not enough, man. Not enough.
Well, to be fair, the first one didn't work out because he just didn't know exactly what he was up against. But yeah, that Roach style is not going to be a guaranteed path to the Ultras. Cure obviously able to find that damage, and then it's not so much like the multitasking. He did have 2 attacks. The multitasking was good, but it's really just how confident Cure is in keeping his army in place on the offensive, even if he's being attacked back at home, that I found really impressive about that game. We are going into a very interesting map for map number 3. It's going to be Last Fantasy in the bottom left for Team Falcons. He is Solar.
And spawning in at the 4 o'clock position here on Last Fantasy, looking so good so far in this series. Can he keep it up? It is Team Liquid's Cure. And I'm pretty sure I can count on one hand the amount of TvZs I have casted on Last Fantasy. I don't really know what to expect in terms of builds. I feel like this is going to be a lot better for just aggressive play in general. Do you agree with that? I feel like it's such a curveball on the map.
No, I'm with you. I feel like it's not exactly a blank slate, as I think the stats are going to say. Terran appreciate this map a little bit more, but we just do not see it a whole lot. I think we don't because maybe Zergs always veto it, right? But again, Solar vetoed Pylon. But I am kind of thinking back to, like, sometimes it is overwhelmingly one race favored, but then a particular person is able to kind of change that dynamic or able to come out with a particular style or understanding of the map.
Jeez,
that actually makes it okay for them.
So we're going through Axe Reaper. We are committing even harder to Mass Reaper here from Cure. This is not an all-in, but this is designed to punish and to contain the Zerg on 2 bases.
This is interesting. Cure, not just a 2 racks. That's a 3rd one in the main base.
Yeah, gonna be 3 racks Reaper coming in from Cure, and you can always expect some kind of shenanigans here on Last Fantasy. Of course, the only 3-player map in the pool here at EWC is you don't know quite where your opponent spawned in this one, and there are all sorts of tricky positions in terms of expansion patterns. And as you can see, of course, here, Cure is going to confirm that it will be that right position versus the bottom left. And there are a lot of ledges also to play around, by the way, with these Reapers.
Unfortunately for Solar, you know, it takes a little moment for Cure to see where his opponent is, but for Solar, his Overlords don't really know where they want to go or where they how to position themselves until later on in the game, and that is pretty big for the Zerg. At first, 2 Reapers are going to make an appearance, and you're like, oh, it's a 2 racks, and then suddenly there's a few more, and that's very concerning. This Ling is going to get in to see, again, 2 racks. It's more just about the Reaper number steadily growing on the front lines. That is super scary about this. You really can't take your 3rd hatch at this point. You are very likely, I would say, to take damage even in your natural, even as you're protected. You're going to try and hold on and take 0 damage until that speed is finished.
A lot more Lings in production, as well as 2 Queens here for Solar. Zergling speed about 75% done. Cure is expanding behind this. It's a lot of pressure, but it is not all in. So far, the defense from Solar has been very good, but this Queen getting dangerously low on HP. It's going to be regenerating a lot slower than these Reapers.
And so far, good damage to Cure. He should be pulling back soon. He doesn't want to get caught up by the speedlings.
We're still slow. Around 330 is when you're going to be aware of the speed. It's kind of the fastest speed you're going to expect. A lot of Lings were created. These Reapers, they need to be very careful. Like, they're still important to make sure you're just not constantly contained on 2 bases, that your barracks aren't even in trouble, honestly, as you start to add on other production. You do want to keep them alive, and he does pull back. Of course, grenades can also save you. Ledges can be found, so ideally you never lose all of them. But in this case, Cure saves every single one, is okay with just delaying that 3rd hatch and forcing all of those Lings as well.
Yeah, and this is a really cool way that Cure is developing back at home right now. He's adding in 2 additional reactors at a very fast engineering bay. Of course, these Reapers, they have a lot of value right now. They're going to try and cancel this 3rd base. Solar, he's looking for the surround right now with these Lings. You got to be very careful because Reapers, they pack a big punch, but if there is a full surround, all right, first grenade comes in. Very good, able to dislodge a lot of these Lings. There is a surround on 2 of the Reapers. That's going to be the end of the trade for now. So Solar able to keep this base alive. But the point that I was making, ZG, this is a really fast +1, a pretty fast stim as well. If those Reapers are able to safely get back home, we can have a very big bio push coming in from Cure at this 3rd base. Solar's economy, it's a little bit stunted, right?
Yeah, and I really, you know, I think I like this from Cure. I'm not sure if it's going to work, this ploy to use the Reapers to get a backstab snipe on the hatchery, but I'm really appreciating it. It is a way to try and play out with these Reapers, avoiding the Ling surrounds in the middle of the map and kind of sneakily getting over while the hatchery is still low. That many Reapers absolutely got a snipe. So actually very good handling of the situation right now for Solar, but now what I'm worried about is, as you were talking about, the 2-base follow-up. Solar, he has to play the Zerg game, right? He has to make the army to make sure he doesn't lose any more to the Reapers. He also has to make sure he has enough drones to actually play out the rest of this game, and that's where information is critical, and he hasn't really gotten that follow-up information yet.
As I kind of alluding to, these Reapers have actually done a really good job at not just at keeping the army busy, but trading and making sure that Solar doesn't get across the map and he doesn't scout. Solar, he doesn't know what's coming his way. That's a really strong timing here from Cure.
You have to catch Cure out of position, but he always finds himself in angles like this one, where he has the ledge to retreat back to, and you can see Solar, he's like, what's even the point of trying to get the surround right there? He's just going to jump back up. 2 Reapers in total going down for 14 Lings, and I know no drones have died, no Queens have died, but this is way more Lings than Solar wants to make. It's indirect economic damage, and I think this is beautifully setting up for this push.
Yeah, 100%. I loved Cure's rotation right there. He basically made sure to rotate around the map where the ledges are the most abusive, as opposed through these speed zones where the Lings can actually help out. Now he's using them, of course, to get here as fast as possible. Attack already on Solar's doorstep. Gets an Overlord supply block. Solar ways away from actually having that carapace. Meanwhile, infantry weapons is done. There's a lot of Marines, and I'm not sure Solar is actually ready for this.
There's no carapaces, no bailings, no nothing.
It's so abusive. The grenades are still available too, and Solar is having a heck of a time against Cure.
This is such a cool build coming out from Cure. Solar is trying to hang on right now. This bio solo on HP, not just from the Queen hits, but also from the stims, and you can see a look of frustration there on Solar's face. GG is called. What a cool build on Last Fantasy. Cure just played that absolutely brilliantly. I was skeptical about the 3 Barracks Reaper at first because We see this quite often on more standard maps. It doesn't really get all that much done unless the Zerg typically misplays it. And Solar, with how well he's been playing at this EWC, you're not expecting him to misplay it. But on Last Fantasy, the build just makes so much sense. Kira is able to get so much value out of it with the ledges and stunting the economic growth of the opponent, and it just culminates perfectly in this 2-base push with +1 stim, 2 medevacs. Brilliant planning, brilliant execution. I love it so much, DG.
Yeah, Kira's builds for this series is just so amazing. The way that he played it too, it could be so easy for a Terran player to think like, I'll do the Reapers and then I'll do the follow-up, and you know that'll be okay enough. But to actually use the Reapers well enough in that fashion, just absolutely beautiful stuff. We do have a break incoming, guys. When we come back, it is going to be more Terran versus Zerg action.
Yeah, I can't really add anything to what they said. Like they just fully broke it down there. But yeah, really impressive build there from Cure. Really impressive, really specialized for Last Fantasy. And the series may just about end. I'm a little bit concerned. I'm hoping for a back and forth. I want to see more games here. But Cure's up 3-0. He's up 3-0. It's the best of 7. One more game and Cure will run away with this series and earn $20,000. Jesus, like a massive prize discrepancy here between 3rd and 4th place. So the pressure's on Solo. Solo, he has asked for a break. Solo needs some time here to recover, to gather his thoughts. Up next, what is our next map? Just double checking here. The map of choice is Last Fantasy. Is it going to be... It's not Maganatha. I think Maganatha was vetoed, right? Ley Lines. Okay, a much more standard map, but Ley Lines is going to be up next, and it's going to be up to Solar to try to pull off a reverse sweep, or at least try to gain some momentum back. We'll see you soon in a couple of minutes. See you soon. Bye. See you soon.
Some spectacular gameplay being shown today by the Terran Cure. He is now leading this series 3-0. Solar, absolutely no slouch when it comes to the ZVT. He went toe-to-toe with Clem earlier on in this tournament. But really, it is Cure's ability to think up new build orders, use them in such powerful fashion, get the maps that create such creativity that we're just being blown away by.
Yeah, the range that he is showing is phenomenal here. And we were talking about this during the break, that I was a little bit sad that the series versus Serral went the way that it did, because Cure has developed into such a phenomenal TvZ player. He's got a great range, he's calm, he's collected, his pushes are so calculated. It's amazing watching him play. And you look at this scorecard, and yeah, it's a 4-0 for Serral, but it doesn't tell the full story. He is a king in this matchup, and to have him come like this in this best of 7 versus Solar, it's exciting to see him really deliver what we all know is his big potential. But that aside, spawning down here in the bottom left, he is down 0-3 in this 3rd place match, but we would love to see him bring this to a game number 7. Can he start the comeback now? It is Team Falcon Solar.
And in the top right, showing his brilliance in this matchup thus far. Will he end it here? It is Team Liquid's Cure.
They're just absolutely...
And we are here, we are back in. Once again, we're opening up 2-Ranked Reaper. 2-Ranked Reaper at a Cure. Now, we did see 3-Ranked Reaper last game, so we have potential to commit even harder once again. But a cheeky start.
Last Fantasy.
Yep, agreed. That was really good usage of the map, being able to threaten the hatchery and then being able to disengage and threaten again meant that Solar never felt comfortable. So that means he never felt comfortable to read the situation correctly, to actually get the proper scouting and the proper preparation for the final push. And ended up being 2 racks here. This is usually nowadays just going to be for 3 Reapers. There's a chance it goes up to 5. There's actually even a chance it stays at 2. But if you are going to go Reapers, it's usually the 3. there's a chance it will definitely delay the third hatch.
So the purpose of a 2x Reaper and the initial three Reapers is to delay the third. The only reason why you will get up to 5 Reapers is if your opponent still gets the hatchery, so you try to force a cancel. You try to force a cancel on the third base, and you have to make an extra wave of Reapers to make that happen.
I presume the same thing that we did, which isn't a third barracks, and he would be right about that.
Yeah, so far only 2 Reapers in production. Is
CC on low ground, Solar, if he sees the CC, he confirms.
Scout coming in from Solar is going to confirm the CC, and that, of course, is the tell that, yeah, this is just the 2x here on the low ground. We are not running back. Game number 3 here on ley lines, and I'm curious if Cure is going to add in additional Reapers. It seems like that will not be the play.
Yeah. But he's going third barracks anyway. Okay, so he only goes 2 Reapers, which seems like a real non-committal. Maybe the Terran player is going to just
this could be a 4x Stimulin.
This is different from that, which, by the way, we do.
Yeah, there is 4x's. Let's go with this. He can pull the boys.
It's going to be the 4x control Terran is what I'm going to deem it. Again, bringing this out, this is something that Cure showed earlier in the tournament, but it's also something that he dominated with a couple of years ago. And it really can be difficult for the Zerg player to decide, do I drone or do I attack? Not to mention, just in general, the 4 barracks push of Marines can sometimes just surprise a Zerg player, especially now that it's completely out of the meta. So there's a couple of very scary points here for Solar as Cure prepares his build and Solar finally gets his third hatch down.
Yeah, this hits so hard because you're going to have so many Marines. Your stim is so quick as well. This does hit without medevacs, so your stims are going to be limited. But really nice follow-up here. Solar playing safe, going Roaches.
Being quite significantly delayed here by Cure. No factory yet, no NG bay yet. Those upgrades, medevacs, they are minutes away from where we're going to be in this game. But what Cure will have as compensation for those sacrifices is an obscene number of Marines. 5 being produced at a time right now. Combat shields, stim, both in the pipelines. For Solar's sake, I'm quite happy that he's going for the safety Roach Warren right now in this moment because Roaches, Marines, we saw them.
As we mentioned, like Roaches defensively here are going to be ideal.
With an upgrade advantage, but with equal upgrades, those Roaches, they really do pack a punch.
But against Roaches, if we commit to a 2-base all-in and pull the boys, like Cure can break through.
Is a bit of a tell here for Solar. This is a fast tech coming in. He can probably assume it's definitely going to be either combat shields or stim, right? But he can assume that the timing is going to be revolving around that. And of course, the Marines as well are a little bit of a signal flare that some kind of aggression is in the pipeline, and the Roaches, they are getting queued up here for safety.
It is a big difference, though, to expect 16 Marines and 2 medevacs trying to hover around you versus 20-plus Marines, whatever it's going to be, hovering around you. So a couple of safety Roaches are fine if you get the time to build more. But if suddenly, boom, Marines see the opportunity, they stim, they jump on top of you.
So takes gases, factories on the way. He is macroing out of this, but he's still going for his own timing. Stim is done.
Moments, the Lings did not see them move out. It is so far hidden. A couple more Roaches are on the way. However, so Solar is playing quite safe. I think that should be enough for the first wave, but don't underestimate stimmed Marines. Will they take the opportunity? Yeah, he's going to stim. He's going to go for it, but that is quite a bit.
Yeah, stim comes through. That is very expensive again. This is permanent damage on these Marines. And actually, Cure, he sees the Queens and the Roaches right there. He's like, you know what? I want no piece of this fight. He is going to be retreating. +1 getting started up, factory finishing. So I wonder if Cure is just going to wait until we have 2 medevacs and +1, and then let's start getting aggressive again. Or if he's going to try and really just turtle up back at home. We don't have a 3rd command center just yet, so the macro play, it's still just 2 bases here for Cure. I'm keenly watching that production tab, curious if we're going to have additional barracks or that 3rd CC.
I'm also watching the production tab of the Zerg player. So, you know, if they are going to make a lot of army but then be scared, then that's bad for Zerg, right? But if they're going to make an army and then actually attack with it,
he's going for the all-in. Solar, I mean.
We do have an extra drone being built. Is that just the perfection drone? It looks like it is.
2.5 base economy. Yeah, Master Roach is going for it.
Solar looking to overwhelm Cure, who, by the way, doesn't have any factory units.
Yeah, no tanks.
No Cyclones. Medevacs are going to be in super low number. This is an excellent attack from Solar. Great decision to do this. He has a backup plan in case this doesn't just win the game outright. Very important for Cure to see the Roaches moving across the map. His Marine count is high, but that is a lot of Roach Ravager.
Yeah, and again, these stims, they are so expensive. First stim comes through. Cure needs to commit to the fight, but the Biles, they usher him away. He has to retreat back. That is a lot of damage done on this Terran army just by the indirect stim. Is now Solar with Roach speed done. He's pushing through, continuing to pump the gas. Cure once again stimming forward. He's trying to focus fire down these Ravagers, but instead he's just going for the Roaches on the front line. They are the easier target, and you could really see the damage piling up with all those Marines. Yes, the bio, it did get shaven down a little bit, but I think Solar was looking for a bit of a better trade.
Yeah, I actually agree. Yes, that was a scary amount of Roach Ravager, but really nice handling there from Cure, actually. So Solar wanted to bait the stim, wanted to increase the damage, right? Just start them off weak, but it didn't do it fast enough. There's still so many Marines coming out. The tank is finally out as well, and that's going to be the real safety point for Cure. He knows that he did an excellent job defending that, all while building a third CC on location, by the way. This is really bad news for Solar.
Yeah, that third CC going to be coming online here in just a moment. +1 infantry weapons, by the way, done here for Cure. We saw how well those Marines and Medivacs were able to do.
As I mentioned, thankfully Solar is taking up into a pit and taking up into +1, but this is late +1, late upgrades, late tech, late droning, late gases, late fourth base. Everything is late for Solar. Solar, he was all in, and the all in fails. Thankfully, he preserves the army, but economically, tech-wise, is falling behind.
Even if he's not out like that, it might have seemed like a mistake initially, but he knew that it was going to be an attack on his side of the map. It was going to be Roaches. If it's Roaches, it's slow. It doesn't really get a blitz. It doesn't get a surround. Boom, suddenly all your Marines are gone to Banelings. Right? It would have been something he could have decided around, and instead of cowering in his natural, where then maybe the Roach Ravager can like bust down a lot of production and kind of force those Marines in a position where they can't retreat, he takes the fight, has to stim, it's true, but then chooses the moment to stim and really engage, which he just had enough, and again, ended up buying up the time to get to the technology. And this means that Solar, you know, he capped himself off with a very low drone count, no upgrades, no technology. He's going to be trying to recover from that from this point on. But now we have such a large Terran army with the ability to multi-attack.
Yeah, Cure going for that double drop in the natural expansion, and it's really a diversion to allow him to take down this base at the 6 o'clock position. Medevac drop now going into the main base here of Solar, even though he anticipated that earlier attack. With the upgrade difference and so much bio on the field, Cure able to get that hatchery taken down, and he is not done just yet. This is a lot of Marines here in the main base of Solar. +1 Carapace only just now finishing up. Marines also in the natural expansion getting a lot of damage done. The moment the trade starts going in advantage of Solar, Cure just pieces out completely.
Yeah,
and look at how many throws are going down. Zombie Grub.
We were hoping for a series.
This is Cure 4-0ing state. This is an excellent position for the Terran. He can just always move away. Solar's trying to catch up on upgrades. He's trying to catch up on technology. He's trying to catch up on economy. So much has to be done here for Solar to bring this game back. And Cure is just going to be relentless, always hitting the main base, preparing a bigger push back at home as well. It's going to come steaming rolling across the map and just show up to Solar and probably get that GG. The Hive is suddenly a target now, and he's going to go for it. He thinks he can get it. He doesn't care if he loses the Marines. The Hive is gone. No Vipers for you, no advanced technology, and another base that is taken down.
Cure continuing to push forward. So much momentum behind this Terran army right now. Solar, he's going for one last Hail Mary fight. The fungal is huge here in the center of the map, but Cure has so much he does not care.
That is it. Cure takes the 4-0. A brilliant display of Terran versus Zerg. He controlled that entire series like a mastermind. His decision-making when things did get a little tough, they did get a little weird, was excellent. And he made Solar look like he did not take 2 games off of Clem, that he did not have superb ZVT going into EWC. What a performance for Cure to take this 3rd place match.
One of the most commanding
well played. A solid series there by Cure. As we were mentioning, Solar, he had a really good showing against Clem. Solar, he had a really strong showing, and he almost straight up beat Clem as well when they played earlier. But Cure played a very different style. We saw some traditional mech out of Cure. We saw some, not even A-Ranks. We even, for example, here saw a quirky build on Last Fantasy going 3-Rax Reaper into a +1 timing. Here as well, 2-Rax Reaper into a 4-Rax follow-up. Talking about this game here, we spoke about how far behind Solar was after the failed all-in. He went for the 2-base all-in. It did fail. Cure, he was much more assertive, much more proactive when it came to his defense, which I think we were all in line, myself, Zumbergub State, in the fact that Cure would not be able to defend or that he would sustain losses. Remember, he defended against Yolan without bunkers, without medevacs, without tanks, without any kind of support behind the Mass Marine, but he still held on long enough for his medevacs. It was impressive defense there by Cure, and from there he just took a lead. Took a lead, got ahead, snowballed out of control. GG, well played. Very impressive play there by Cure. Very impressive.
In just a second, which is going to be, of course, the best of 9 grand finals between Cyril and Classic. We do have an interview prepared, so let's head to it.
Interview. Send it.
Thank you very much, boys and girls. The third match decider has been wrapped up, and Cure will be claiming a spot on the podium. First of all, I want to say congratulations on an incredible run, because at the end of the day, you managed to take down some incredibly strong and talented names here at EWC. Showtime, Rogue, Maru, and now Solar. Still an incredible run. How do you feel at the end of the day?
일단 김덕 선수 승리 축하드리고요. 일단 이번 대회에서 정말 눈부신 활약을 했습니다. 일단 쇼타임 선수부터 시작을 해서 이병열 선수 꺾고 조성주 선수도 꺾고 결국에는 강민 선수까지 꺾으시면서 3위로 대회를 마무리하셨는데 좀 기분이 어떠신지 궁금합니다.
솔직히 아직 아쉬움이 가시지 않는데 그래도 마지막에 최선을 다해서 유종의 미를 거둔 것 같아서 다행인 것 같습니다.
Yeah, I mean, sadness still not goes away because I've not been in the grand finals. But that being said, finishing with the win actually gives me a great consolation.
I mean, a great consolation and 20,000 plus added to the bank. That's nothing to snuff at, ladies and gentlemen. And at the end of the day as well, you managed to secure some valuable points for your organization in Team Liquid when it comes to the Club Championship as well. I want to give you this opportunity to say, is there anything that you'd like to say to your fans, your family, anyone? The floor is yours, Cure.
이제 또 3위를 획득하신 만큼 또 개인 상금뿐만 아니라 이제 또 클럽 챔피언십 포인트에서도 이제 팀 리퀴드에게 500점을 또 선물하게 됐어요. 그래서 이 기회를 빌어서 지금까지 김덕 선수의 경기를 시청해 주셨던 모든 시청자분들과 팬분들, 그리고 여기 와서 응원해 주셨던 모든 이제 팀 리퀴드 팬분들께 한번 얘기를 해주시된다면요.
사실 경기장 와서 좀 경기력이 처음부터 마음에 안 들었었는데 지금 팀 리퀴드 멤버들이 와가지고 계속 기세를 복돋아 줘가지고 경기력에 많이 도움이 돼서 8강부터 그때 기세를 끌어올려서 여기까지 올 수 있었던 것 같아서 고맙다고 말해주고 싶어요.
Yeah, coming here, I wasn't satisfied with my performance initially, but all the Team Liquid fans coming here cheering for me actually made me perform a lot better. So I want to thank all the fans came here cheering for me, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Cure, for an incredible performance still, an incredible run at EWC. But we still have one final thing to give you. I know your key may have been crushed, but you still managed to secure a top 3 finish. So I'd like to invite the Keymaster to present you with your 3rd place finish here at the StarCraft 2 tournament at the Esports World Cup.
He gets a key.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap. But we have the grand finals waiting in a few short moments. And trust me, it is going to be a long one. So get some drinks, get some snacks, because we have a best of 9 waiting for us. Let's head on over back to the studio.
He gets a key back. GG.
Damn, the 3rd place medal looks fantastic. Congratulations, Cure, here, as he, in dominant fashion, is able to...
Yeah, GG well played. And again, just a very different ZBT compared to what we saw between Solar and Clem. Here, Solar and Cure, with, again, a lot of variety when it comes to builds, when it comes to play, when it comes to approach. I will say that Clem is maybe at times a little bit more predictable in his play. Here, no shot. You can even hear when we were speaking, when the cast was speaking, we were like, oh, no, yeah, we expect like Araxes here and there. We expect like maybe even Battle Mech at times. But Cure, he was defying expectations with his approaches to these games, and yeah, catching Solar off guard, catching even the casters off guard as well. GG. GG well played. Impressive play there by Cure.
Get as much damage in against the Ultras. Never let them close the gap. Not let those fungals land. I thought the patience coming out from Cure in some of these fights was brilliant here, Roddy.
Also, the variety and the flexibility versatility in all of his builds.
Yeah, but now they bring it up as well.
Different starts. Cure looked so
variety,
freaking
the
good. I
builds.
mean, he 3-0'd Rogue, he 4-0 Solar. It's spectacular what he has done to his own TvZ, because this is a matchup that in the past he truly struggled in, and we felt it was a little bit better. He would have won more championships. He looked amazing, and it also does speak volumes. Again, not to make everything about Cero, but how freaking good is Cero? How on earth did Cero 4-0 this guy? Because Solar, we know how powerful he is. We know how good he is and scary if he gets going. And Solar had the opportunity there to really let the hands go and set up some moves. But incredibly impressive performance by Cure. And I love the cheeky smile as well a few times when he was stimming forward.
Look at the alliteration. Cannon Jure, skill Cure, name Cure, points secure.
But awesome performance by Cure.
Yeah,
production
again,
team has fun.
Congratulations to him. Third place will be going his way, and third place for Team Liquid here for those club championship points, all important across Esports World Cup as a whole. But Loco, again, just it's a brilliant performance by Cure. He doesn't get to go into that grand final, of course, doesn't get the chance to call himself a potential world champion, but still, third place, very commendable.
Yeah, he performs really well over here in Riyadh, right? Like, we've seen his performance over the years, and he's always here, and he's always amongst the very best. I mean, we always talk about Maru, we always talk about Clem, but Cure really is an absolute monster. And what I really like about this series is just the amount of variety, right? So many different strategies. He did the same thing as well against Cero. Just never really sure what he's going to do, even though he opens up most of the time with the triple CC 1-1-1. He still, mixes it up every time.
Even if that semifinals did not go his way,
I could be mistaken, Cure, but I think Geralt is back there in Riyadh, right?
It seems silly that you're complimenting the guy that lost 0-4, but those games were very competitive. They were close. Like, he really pushed Cero to the limit. There were multiple moments where the work accounts were low, and it's not that Cero was sitting at 10k. Like, no, Cero was battling with 160, 170 supply. They were both broke. It came down to a few little skirmishes, and this performance just emphasizes that Cure has played spectacular TvZ this event.
Can't really fault Solar, obviously. I mean, in a lot of these games as well, as much as he's a great player, we expected it, considering that he got himself all the way to that round of 4, to that third place match here. But he did look a little bit outclassed when it came to this series overall.
Yeah, sadly for him, for sure. I can imagine he woke up this morning thinking he might just become the world champion, maybe even believing it. It's a very respectable result, right? Getting top 4 at an event of this level is extremely impressive, even though it's like probably the worst case scenario for him for at least today's performance. Sure. I mean, across the board, he can still be proud of it.
Yeah, great run overall by Solar. Of course, he also made it to the finals of DreamHack Dallas, which was a qualification for this event. So he has a couple of months that he can be very proud of, but I'm sure it stings going out like this, especially because Solar often has this, right? The first day, the second day, the third day of a world championship, we're like, okay, we know he's good, he's always a dark horse, he's always a contender, but this might be the time. And with that bracket he had today, Classic first, after he took down Hero yesterday, so convincingly, and then maybe that ZVZ final, Solar had all the reasons to dream. Unfortunately, turned into a bit of a nightmare today.
Well, let's take a look at the bracket then here, as we will confirm the result that we got here from this third place, as well as we know what is to come. You don't need any reminder of that.
I'm hoping they have a special ceremony for the grand finals, not gonna lie.
After taking down,
like they had the band like with their drum sets playing the players in for day one, like they had like a mini opening ceremony. I hope they have something special for the grand finals as well.
Very similar to last year, Loco.
What are you suggesting for the grand finals, James?
I'll wince in pain just a little bit and twitch.
Let's hope it's not gonna be a 5-0 again. That would be very unfortunate. I feel like the Cero games, though, even though it's a 4-0 win, I mean, it wasn't a one-sided series. I feel like Kira really put up a phenomenal fight.
Well, regardless, we are getting ready for the big one. It is going to be Cyril, the two-time world champion, going up against Classic, the man who does not only not have a world championship to his name, but he doesn't even have a world championship placement to his name in terms of being in one of those grand finals. We're going to be right back after this break, where we have the grand finals here for StarCraft 2.
Okay, there we go. We're going on that break. So when we come back, we'll have those grand finals here. Best of 9 between Cyril and Classic. This is going to be a rematch. Cyril and Classic, they already played. They already played in the group stage. It was already 3-0 in favor of Cyril. Cyril had a very strong, very dominant performance. previously. So I'm hoping that Classic has learned from that, has grown from that. I'm hoping that Classic has a different approach than what we saw previously. There's a lot to get into in discussion when it comes to the previous series, what worked, what didn't work, and how Classic will adjust. For now, though, going on a break. We'll see you guys soon for the finals of the EWC Esports World Cup 2025. We'll see you soon after the break. See you soon.